absolutely great racing. So when you talk about how much, and I love that you point out how much that this racetrack loves first in Trans Am through that list, it has my eye on Keith Grant and David Paterick. Those could both of those gentlemen could grab their first ever TA victory here today. I'm going to keep a close eye on those two.
Yeah, and I want you to study for a while on this and watch both Brabham and Dyson. They've got two different chassis. We'll talk about that in a moment, but I want you to also listen to how their styles, different gear changes at different times. We were noticing that during practice, and maybe you can talk about the nuances of getting out of, for example, 10B here and up that hill and down the hill, because the drive underneath this bridge and onto the main straight is another key point to this track. Well, as you can see, the pace car is off, and we are about to go racing for the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli, round 3. Away goes Dyson, and it's a good start from the champ. Brabham will follow him home, but already Boris Said starting to vie for second place as they dive into the first corner. And Boris Said in the Dodge is looking good and does take second place. And through comes Tommy Dreesy. He's in fourth as we're on board with him on the MAV TV car.
Yeah, that Dodge has a lot of torque, a lot of power. Boris, he's a pro. He knows what he's doing. Took full advantage of that and got the jump on Matthew Brabham there into turn 1. That's not what Chris Dyson wanted, right? He would like to have that little bit of a buffer of having Matthew behind him. But I can promise you that Matthew's not going to let Boris run away and hide here.
No, and it's interesting. Matthew, his first time out here, but straight away on the first practice, he was right on the pace. Didn't take him long at all. Through goes Hoffman in the Mercedes. Two of those Mercedes out them. Hoffman, of course, the driver instructor for Danny Lowry. He's in the red and white, while Hoffman is in the blue and white, the Evo, the more modern version of that AMG GT3. But look at this already. Dyson stretching his legs early on as he heads down to turn 6.
Yeah, Boris Said again, he's got his mirror full there, but he is watching Chris Dyson walk away already as they're just entering the end of the first lap. We've got a battle, inter-class battle here between Chris Evans and Keith Grant here. So that's a TA and an XGT car mixed with a TAH car of Wally Dolomback Jr. and that Ultimate Headers Ford Mustang. I mean, I might be a little partial here, but I think one of the most strikingly beautiful cars inside the Trans Am paddock is that Ultimate Headers Mustang. And right there in that same class of striking cars is that Mercedes AMG GT3 car driven by Danny Lowry.
Great clean start. Boris Said is the man who made the most hay, if you will, and he's now in second place. Brabham third, Dreesy fourth, Paterick in fifth. Ruman up to sixth place. Keith Grant, the man you just mentioned, in seventh at the moment, just ahead of Goodson in eighth position. Wally Dolomback is ninth, and then Tyler Hoffman, the man I just mentioned. As we take our first look at Amy Ruman, she got her first win here back in 2011.
And I tell you, they've been getting some help from the series a little bit on some little areas that they've been needing help, and Amy Ruman is back to getting comfortable in the car. Amy didn't forget how to drive. There's always two things, intangibles. It's a driver and a car, and I've never known a race driver actually to forget how to drive.
No, that's true.
So it's not that at all. It's literally, there was a lot of changes on the new tires. First the Pirelli, and then the Pirelli went to an 18-inch, and they needed some help. They're the only Corvette out there bringing data back. So this is, again, you're going to see this back and forth between Chris Evans and Keith Grant. This is a really exciting battle between the two classes.
Really good stuff.
No, I'm sorry. I'm Matthew Butson. I feel I am so embarrassed.
That's Keith Grant and Butson
so
that are going at it.
Yeah, no, that's TA on TA. Sorry about that. That's my fault.
No, you're good.
Yeah, my apologies. Matthew, great job. That's an awesome battle between those two. He's out there with Ave support, Matthew Butson, and that's always a good, beautiful car to be seeing there. And this is the only Showtime representative we have right there in Keith Grant. Unfortunately, as we mentioned early in the show, was one of the absolute favorites in the Trans Am paddock, Ken Twaits. Had himself a crash in practice. Now this is an interclass battle, but it looks like Wally is off the pace, and I hate to see that so early on in the race as we come down the S's, as I do not see that as being normal.
Last year, yeah. In that car, actually.
He was super optimistic about his run here today, and yeah, he's off shot and off pace as he's pulling over. Boy, I hate to see that for the Ultimate Headers Ford Mustang. The Cobra Automotive Group, they're led by Kurt Walt. They do such great work. There's Steve, who's the leader on that car. Steve and Tommy, who put countless hours into that car. I know that they're going to be heartbroken, as our owner, John Cloud, because he just takes such pride in watching these race cars going around the racetrack. So that's a tough start to 100 miles here as a team, and I hated to see that. But I tell you what, that mirror is getting even fuller of some Matthew Brabham as we saw him coming down the hills. But we look at the aerial view here, and this is, again, this great battle between.
Well, this is Danny Lowry now.
Yeah.
On the attack.
Chris Evans.
Against Chris Evans now. Chris Evans, of course, winning last time out at NOLA. And Danny Lowry, so this is a good battle. Danny Lowry, as I said, he's got his driver instructor, local man, local team, of course, given that it's the Bennett Bridgehaul Classic. That's his company. And Mum, who runs the company, is here this weekend. She's got 100+ guests, I was told. And so Danny absolutely tickled pink that his parents could be here to watch them race. 6 cars entered in all by Bennett and Bridgehaul, so really exciting for them to be here in the sunshine. I'm so glad the sun has come out for them, because it is a big day for them, and they've been laying down some excellent laps already this season. Danny Lowry, current champion in XGT.
And this is what's so cool about the XGT class is this is what makes this class special, right? You have that Mercedes-Benz, that beautiful GT3 car of Danny Lowry, but that is like a production-based car. And what you have that Chris Evans has now, this is a pure built tube-frame chassis. So it's great to see the balance of performance between those two, but there's no balance of performance here. Chris Dyson is laying down some really impressive lap times here and pulling, you know, just over, right around a 1 second gap on Boris Said. Now, Boris Said is not letting Chris run away and hide here, but I think Chris Dyson is really being pretty coy here and is just saving his stuff, because he knows that he can run these laps without really putting a lot of pressure on his race car.
Well, the one thing I've learned from you and the likes of Rafa Matos is it's 100 miles, and it doesn't sound much because they're going at such speed. But what you've got to remember is that those tyres have got to make it with all the power that you've got underneath the hood, and it can be up to 850 brake horsepower. You've got to manage the race over those 100 miles and be there for the last 10 laps to get those tyres underneath you and make sure you make it and don't slow down. So then, at the moment, it is Chris Dyson leading the way from Boris Said, Matthew Brabham in 3rd place at the moment.
You've got a business to run. Big
so
and
the long
heavy
straight
products
then.
to ship, and customers who need them now. When you've got the right driver and the right equipment, you can bet on a spectacular result. Bennett understands complex logistics and puts the best team, the most time, and the latest technology into every customer relationship. So you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the race. Let us handle the rest.
Together, we can move anything.
But here comes the battle for the checkered flag. I believe it is. Ryan Timms getting the win.
We're at a commercial break.
If your tooling isn't quite ready, and you need parts, and you need more parts than just a few, or if your run is just not that big, look to the experts in low-volume production, 3-dimensional services. Whether it's 10, 100, or 1,000 parts, we can meet your needs. And if it's 10,000, we can do that too. 3-dimensional services delivers high-quality parts for short runs, 70% faster than industry standards. 3-dimensional services. Prototype, production, proven.
Welcome back to the Mission Foods Atlanta Speed Tour, the Bennett Bridgehaul Classic of 100 miles. You've missed nothing, and this, though, is about to go off, because right now you're watching the battle for 2nd and 3rd between the mighty Boris Said and the mighty Matthew Brabham. 2nd and 3rd at the moment, but Boris Said's just done a 1:20.9, fastest lap of the race so far in that Dodge. But as you can see, Brabham is all over him like a bad rash.
Yeah, Boris Said, the legend that is made, and Matthew Brabham, the legend in the making in Trans Am here, and it's going back and forth. Now they're trading fastest laps per lap here, and it's just really exciting race here for 2nd place. And I know that they're just both enjoying this to no end, because this is why we show up and this is why we Trans Am race. As we look on board here, the Jim Weed Ford Mustang of Chris Dyson, as he does this full speed approach, 170 miles an hour down there into 10A, all the way through the gearbox. Now remember that Boris said in this 79 ECC Motorsports Dodge Challenger, as he's going to look up the inside for Matthew Brabham going over the hill, door gets shut, but boy, Matthew is itching to get around now. He is feeling ready for this attack, but Boris said is working with a 4-speed transmission as opposed to everyone else at 5-speed. That does come with a weight brake in that Poncho Weaver chassis, and this is something that they use to advantage through these twisty parts of the track, but certainly at a disadvantage in some other places like the launch off of turn 7, Jonathan.
Yeah, like I said, you were in this car, or in the Dyson team at Sebring, and I'm just wondering if you were Matthew Brabham right now, knowing who you were chasing, and Boris said, who knows the track just as well as you do, how would you approach trying to make that overtake, or would you just stay where you are for now?
Yeah, you could have either approach, right? As we have a slow GT
that's
car.
Grant slowing down.
Yeah, like Milton Grant there. So, right now, it's so early. We're 8 laps. We're not even a quarter of a way into this race. So, you're not really thinking about putting anything at risk right now. Chris Dyson is doing his job. He's walking that. Matthew Brabham's doing his job at making Boris have to look in his mirror more than forward. So this is all good things. And yeah, I mean, I'm proud to say I've driven for both these teams, ECC Motorsports with the Dodge and Dyson CD Racing in that Ford Mustang that you see, the Jim Weed Ford Mustang of Matthew Brabham.
Well, let me ask you this. You've got a Meissen chassis out there and a Riley chassis. Which one were you in? You were in the Meissen?
I was in the Meissen car, yeah.
I mean, I talked to Chris a little bit. He said that they're still struggling with the front end, but the rear end is planted, but it's still a sort of work in progress, the new Riley chassis.
And it will be, right? Mark Meissen, I think it was 6, 7 championships in a row in TA through the Ernie Francis Jr. years and then through the Chris Dyson years. So, they knew one concept, or the Meissen concept, and now they're going all new on this Ave Riley concept. And but it also goes to show that there's a lot of speed in these cars. As you're watching Matthew Brabham exercise that as they go into the 3-dimensional services group, turn 6.
Yep, a good overtake by Brabham. Little wiggle as he went into 7, but he's okay. Now he's just got to make sure that Boris doesn't get a better run on him from 7. Here they go down the back straight. There is the reason why you were talking about Wally Dollenbach Jr. Getting slow or going slow, and sadly he looks as though he's out of this race.
Yeah, this is a shame. That's the push of dejected work right there. They've worked so hard to get to this point, and as does everybody. But I just really am gutted for our guys there, and I know Wally's gutted, John Cloud, as I mentioned. Just really bad. I'm really sad for that. But looking on board, Tommy Dreese in the Lucas Ford Mustang here as he comes up over the hill, and he's going to go through the Mission Foods turn number 12.
Yeah, beautifully 12, and now onto the main straight past our commentary position. He goes past one of the SGT cars, and there is Tommy Dreese in that beautifully painted Lucas number 8. Like I said, been having a few setup problems and issues. Had a ding, came together with Ruman of all people, and I say of all people because they keep finding each other on the track. And but he had the same problem at NOLA, and so he really wants to have a good, clean weekend here at Road Atlanta. So we're wishing Tommy from Hollywood, California, a big weekend. And like I said, in the points, in terms of with plates out and with Marks not here this weekend, great opportunity for Dreese to get back in the throw of it all and really get some points on the board and give himself a run at this championship. There's a long way to go yet. Lime Rock is some 8 weeks after this, but that's only round 4. A long way to go till we get to the end of the season at COTA. Great to be on board here. You really get to see the track as, there is the 55, as we said earlier, going slow, and that is Milton Grant out of activities in SGT. So that championship, there's a little damage there to the side of the car. I wonder if he's taken a hit.
Yeah, that's a shame. Again, not the way you wanted to start out the weekend, and there is some damage to the side of that Porsche. And so it looks like our number 4 car, the Ultimate Headers Ford Mustang, fell victim of an engine. So that's a shame that lose an engine there. So they'll get regrouped and they'll be back for Mid-Ohio round. I know they'll be ready like always and ready to hit it with that beautiful Ford Mustang. So as we're on board here, Chris Evans in that XGT likes that 92 car. This is a really neat car. Like I said, it's really unique, and it shows just the forward thinking of the technical staff to get the balance of performance so close with really two different philosophies. We look at cars. What I mean by that, the Mercedes-Benz, you call up Mercedes and you get on a list to buy one of those GT3 cars. What they're doing here with Chris Evans is you build one. You build one from scratch, you know, with a tubing bender and with some talented fabricators, and you hang one of those beautiful 5-star bodies on it. You get a big rear wing there to hold and manage all that horsepower under the hood, and you got yourself a pretty neat little package here to come Trans Am racing. So I would definitely encourage people to check this class out, because this is definitely growing, as you're seeing here.
Yeah, and that's a good explanation as to what XGT is, or one side of XGT. The other, of course, is you can bring a Mercedes GT3, an ex-FIA GT3 car, which no longer eligible, and therefore that's why the XGT class came to be. Talking of Ken Thwaites, he was the first winner of that class just a couple of years ago, so it's a relatively new class, but it also fits beautifully into the history of Trans Am, which goes back to 1966 when production cars were king. It was a sedan championship back in the day, before the tubular cars came out, of course. As we take another look at Tommy Dreesy coming down the main straight, and we're on board with him as he dives into the first corner. It must be a little bit frightening every time you come over this crest.
It is. I mean, you really are finding your marks to look for, and there's secrets around this track to find these spots, and it's definitely one of those places it's well worth to get some laps around here in a driving school if you're coming here for the first time. So it's a special place. It's a really seat of the plants place, and just the last touch on XGT, you know, we talk about young guns a lot in our class of racing in the Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers TA2 class, but there's a young gun in XGT as well, a 16-year-old in Austin Hill.
Austin Hill, yeah, absolutely. Not to be mistaken with the other Austin Hill, who won the Xfinity last weekend for the Bridgehaul team. Danny Lowry telling me about that great weekend. And so, yeah, there's a few Austin Hills out there. But, yeah, we've got a 16-year-old out there still doing on the honours roll at high school, but out there doing his first XGT run. He's also going to be running single-seaters later in the weekend. So we're going to be seeing a lot of our Austin Hill this weekend.
Don't look now, but the fastest car on the racetrack last lap was David Penterick in P4. My pick, remember, for one of those first-time winners. So I'm keeping my eye out on my buddy David there, because I think in that Cryder Racing Ford Mustang, he could be that dark horse that we're looking for. And you know, Chris Dyson really laying down the pavement here in his Jim Weed Ford Mustang. And this place is so exciting that it's exciting to watch from the in-car camera. I mean, it's such a visceral experience around this racetrack.
Great to see David Penterick. He's with his wife this weekend. He's actually staying at our hotel, so we're going to chat with him last night. But a great character. Great to see him out there in that famous 57 car. Loves his racing, absolutely. And looking for a good finish. Currently 6th in the championship. So then we've been watching David Penterick, and like you said, put in his fastest lap. But the fastest lap of overall is still Matthew Brabham with a 1:28, or 1:20.8, I should say. Still in second place. Boris said now in third. So it's going to be a 1-2, looking for their third 1-2 in a row. And it's almost Red Bull-esque the way Dyson has started this championship in terms of a 1-2, because they have totally dominated this season. I know it's only round 3, but this is pretty high-end domination. We don't usually see that in Trans Am racing.
My buddy Chris Dyson did not like the fact that I was talking about our other friend David Penterick laying down the fastest lap, and he did not like you talking about his teammate Matthew Brabham turning the fastest of the race, because right as those words came out of our mouth, he went off and cut the fastest lap of the race, with his teammate really closing that gap on him. Actually, Matthew Brabham's bought it within a second. I think he just went ahead and Chris, the boss, answered and said, hey, I'm going to go and show you that I know Road Atlanta better than anybody.
Tell you what, while we go on board with here, we may lose Chris, but take me through the gears and how you set up for this car. He's, as you can see, going 160 plus, 170, just over 173 miles an hour, now heading down into 10. You take over.
179 he touched before he slammed on those binders for the Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers turn 10. And that is really, really I can't even put it into words for our viewers at home at how difficult it is to maximize the braking there and not really ruin your approach for that corner.
Up turn 1. Chris Dyson in traffic now. So then, Dyson now just making his way. Never easy to go through the S's and start overtaking people, but he's doing it.
You could be 10 seconds a lap faster than a car in front of you. If you get stuck behind them in those Bridgehaul Bennett S's, you are in trouble. You are not going to get around them until you get to that turn 5. That's quite simple.
Into 6 he goes then. That's where Thwaites went off yesterday in practice, but he's okay, thankfully. Here's another look at the man I've been talking about, Danny Lowry and Tyler Hoffman, the two of them going at it in XGT. And Hoffman at the moment overall 9th, and he's just done a 1:24.4. That's the fastest lap as we take a look. In fact, actually, that is Hoffman, I think. He's got on the side there the blue car. They hadn't decided who was going to take the blue car and who was going to take the red car. But in the end, Danny said, I'm going to take the older car. He wasn't happy with the suspension on the blue. The blue's the newer car. Tyler Hoffman is the, if you like, more experienced local driver in that respect. He's a coach to Danny Lowry. So he said, you take that car and I'll take the other one. And there you see the other one just behind them, the Porsche there. And here is Danny Lowry.
Jonathan Green, I got a question. Who from Greenlight TV is wiring us into these drivers? Because right as we are talking about
it's good, isn't it?
Danny Lowry went ahead and said, I'm going to go faster than that more experienced driver coach of mine. The student has become...
They put the commentary in the cars,
coach,
I think.
Yeah, so Danny went ahead and turned his fastest lap, and he was the fastest in class, in that XGT class last time around. So look for Danny Lowry to start closing that gap maybe on his driving coach, Tyler Hoffman.
Yeah, let's just give you a quick update on all the classes. 16 gone of the 40. Chris Dyson leads in TA. In XGT, Tyler Hoffman, as we just said, leads from Danny Lowry. And then in SGT, Ricky Sanders, winner last time out at NOLA. He is now leading Cary Grant in 2nd place. Lee Saunders, who swapped to a Mustang. Should be tough work for Lee Saunders, who literally won't drive anything but the Viper, but it ain't working today, so he's had to change over because he is chasing the championship. So Lee Saunders is in a Ford Mustang this weekend, and good luck to him, and let's hope he gets in his usual steer for next time out.
Yeah, really, really great racing throughout all these classes as we look through them all and get great shots. Now, these two front-running Dyson cars have broken free and clear of Boris Said in that ECC Motorsports Dodge Challenger.
Well, here is Boris,
Yeah, as he's coming around. So Boris might have just went ahead and let them battle amongst each other as teammates. We look at a really good shot here of Nathan Bird in that 88 Porsche GT3 car. Really cool shot there going up the hill. What a fun track and what a great roller coaster.
Yeah, Nathan Bird, another youngster making his way. I was talking to his driver coach, James Davison. Oh, no! Oh, not a good sign at all. And pouring out of the front of that car, Chris Evans, parked up, beached up here in Basildon. What on earth has happened there, do you think? And what's coming out?
That's Old Faithful. That's a water, actually.
Okay.
He's got it overheated. So the car's overheated, and it might have... he might have popped a line and actually maybe even sprayed some oil on his tires, as says. But he is definitely beached there in our Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers Turn 10. Turn A-B is what it's really called with the combination of the chicane. And he's really out to the beach. So this will be a full course caution. This is going to go ahead and bring the group back together. And this is, you know what? Cautions often breed cautions. We don't want to see that, but we want to make sure this is but such a beautifully clean race.
And I've just worked out where he is. He's on the exit of 10B. So he's come through 10A and then tried to make it up the hill and somehow got it wrong and ended up in the gravel. Usually, it's a case of getting the power down too early. Let's take a look at it. Adam, you'll be able to judge this immediately.
I believe it might even go on board here in this replay. Down the gearbox.
This is 10A. Now, 10B.
Something broke.
Oh,
he ran over the curb in 10A, and something broke in the suspension. That caused him just to go straight there. But he also was having overheating before then, so I don't know because that just didn't start puking out of the blue. But, yeah, he definitely broke something in the front suspension of that XGT car.
Well, if you're new to motor racing, folks, that's how it goes. One weekend you're winning, the next you're beached at Road Atlanta, sadly. But we're back under caution and the race changes. As you can see, the Honda Civic out front with the lights on. Dyson following him around with Brabham and Said. That will allow Boris Said in third place to catch up. More importantly, Dreesy and Ruman, fourth and fifth, also now will get that restart and a chance to battle each other and battle for points. And Ruman and Dreesy specifically will be looking hard to try and make up some places now.
So it's really, I mean, like this is like a good reset, and it's great for everyone else. Chris Dyson, Matthew Brabham didn't want to see these gaps disappear, but two important things that were talked about in the drivers' meeting that I've seen good respect. It looks like David Paterick has suffered some damage.
I wondered if he and Grant may have had a coming together, because there's front damage to his car and there was side damage to Grant's
He hit the
car.
wall, actually. The 57 car, we're getting reports that has hit the wall, so don't know exactly when that happened, but that's a shame. And what I was saying, the two things in the drivers' meeting that I've seen very, very good here. First of all, saw in the drivers' meeting there was a lot of focus on safety and everyone's safety as far as traffic. There's a big speed difference between the Trans Am TA class and the GT class cars. I've seen great give and take throughout that, and that's fantastic. I also love the fact that we're getting these cars pulled out, but there's soupy out there, so they can't get stuck in these tow trucks, so they're going to pull it out linearly.
We'll take a short break. We'll be right back.
Every weekend, I drive a truck for Clean Harbor. Now make no mistake, it's hard work. It takes a lot of focus, and you have to know your vehicle's limitations. And more than anything, you have to drive to win.
Nice running, Ted. If you want to drive for a winning team, give Clean Harbors a call at 1-833-32-DRIVE. Visit driveforthebest.com. They have the vehicles and the compensation for every kind of truck driver. And everyone drives home a winner.
Lightweighting means reducing mass and consolidating parts. No one tackles these design and tooling challenges better than three-dimensional services. We'll provide flexible tooling solutions, including integrating parts, reducing design complexity, or even design changes. We're the go-to source for rapid manufacturing and low-volume production. Trust three-dimensional services to develop the most efficient approach to meet your lightweighting challenges today. Three-dimensional services. Prototype, production, proven.
Welcome back to the Bennett Bridgehaul Classic. Adam Andretti and Jonathan Green bringing you all the action from Trans Am, presented by Pirelli, the first of our two feature races. We've been in the pits with David Paterick, and as you can see, they are feverishly working on the car. How disconcerting is it when your car's being worked on by the mechanics? Do you trust everything that's going on, or do you worry that the car's going to fall apart?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have absolute trust. These are your biggest fans. These are the ones that want your success more than anybody. Are the mechanics that have put their blood, sweat, and tears into these race cars. So, yeah, absolutely. They're in full trust, and he'll go out there and give it his best. But he's not going to be very efficient. These cars rely on a lot of air pressure on the front of them to create that downforce, and you need a good structure there. So it'll be interesting to see how that holds up. I don't know. I don't care how much bear bond you have. It's a lot of forces that go through these cars.
Adam, these cars are designed to go fast. I know that sounds obvious, but when they are under caution like this, how much do you worry about the change to the car, and what do you have to worry about while you're under caution?
You know, really, you just don't want to let too much of the temperature get out of the tires to where the tires go too far down on air pressure. You want to keep your brakes hot, because you can't go into turn one here. You know, you can't go into that Mission Foods turn one with cold brakes on a restart. That'll leave you as a sitting duck. Because we got a couple of cars entering pit road that we see here on our coverage. Hard to tell from up here.
Car 6, that's Carrie Grant.
and I believe Michael Attaway in the Audi is the other one that came in. And we did find that Milton Grant in the 55 car retired because of a water pump belt. And the 0 of Austin Hill had come in, hadn't got really a report on what had happened to them. And we saw what obviously happened to Chris Evans there. Shame that their race ended in such a way.
Yeah, and of course that means that Billy Griffin now leading in GT, and of course he's a former GT champion, Billy Griffin, and Michael Attaway was his real opponent in that one, and if Michael can't get out of the pits, that battle is pretty much over, and gifting it, if you will, to Billy Griffin. SGT still being led by Ricky Sanders, a local man from Georgia. In fact, his father, Ronnie Sanders, in the Georgia Hall of Fame, he was telling me earlier this weekend, so that's a great accolade to have. Let's head down to Ben Sissel. He is going to give us an update on what happened to David Pintarek.
Well, you can see David Pintarek just went by. We've got Matt Miller here, his crew chief, holding what looks like a little bit of Varibon. So what's going on with David?
He impacted something. We're not exactly sure what. We're just trying to tape it up. We've ran a couple of times into the pits, try to fix it up enough to continue. We'll see if it comes up. Copy. If you see it coming up over your windshield, come. We have bear bond. Copy?
So you could hear him there saying, if you see it coming up over your windshield, meaning the hood of the car. If you can't see where you're driving, David, come into the box, basically.
The hood's coming loose from the nose. Copy? They're going green this time. I'll tell you when they go
So there
green.
you go. You're up to date. David Pintarek, great character here in the Challenge Championship. But as you can see, we're looking down on the 2 Dyson cars there. Such history for Chris Dyson. His father was very successful here at this track. Chris himself, 3 wins under his belt. Pretty much mostly from pole position. There's an interesting onboard. I've never seen that one before. A paddock onboard. What do you think of that, Adam?
That's not exactly what you want to see. You know, this isn't what Chris Evans wants to see, or anybody that makes this group go around in the XGT class. But it looks like they're getting ready possibly for restart. Looks like our pace car is pulled off, and we're going to get going green here, Jonathan.
Now, what's Dreesy going to do? He's in 4th position right now. Ruman's right behind him. They're both behind Boris Said at this restart. Important for them. Dyson, the hare, gets away for the team. Brabham follows him through. Ruman can't get past Dreesy.
No, good, clean restart so far, getting into this Mission Foods Turn 1, climbing up the hill here to the 2-3 complex before we get into the Bridgehaul Bennett S's.
Yeah, nicely done. And down the hill they come through the S's, and we are on a restart. 21 laps now of the 40, so we're getting to the halfway point, just over now, of this race. And there's more to come from this. And with Justin Marks out doing his NASCAR duties, quite rightly, running the team and running Kimi Räikkönen of all people, and Jenson Button's in that race of all things. It's amazing how everybody is changing formats. You know, we've got guys from NASCAR who are team owners coming here to race in Trans Am. We've got Boris Said, who's raced every race car you can imagine, but he loves Trans Am. And Matthew Brabham, pretty much the same. He's a stadium truck, 3-time world champion, an Indy Lights absolute expert, planning on racing in the 2-seater IndyCar at Dallas next weekend, and then going on to Long Beach, and he's trying to race in IMSA and stadium trucks. I actually have today a funny comment from Matthew Brabham earlier in the weekend. He said, what do you think of this track going over turn 1, the crest? He said, well, I've done so much stadium truck racing, it seemed fairly normal to me.
You're right, the landing is a little bit tougher, but yeah, no, absolutely. This place, and you know, Matthew is one of those guys that, even though he's never been to a place, he's going to take quick and figure it out as well, because that's what race car drivers like Matthew Brabham do. At any racetrack that they go to. You know, at some point, it's got to be your first time. As we look at Lowry here taking an inside move, and that Mercedes AMG.
It's a beautiful looking car.
They are. I mean, that's such a fantastic machine, and it's proven to be such a dominant force, you know, throughout you know, all the different forms of racing that it does. I mean, we know our own Mike Skeen, who we see so much in our Trans Am paddock and competing in our Trans Am paddock. He drives one of those cars in the IMSA series, so in the GTD class. So this is, and he brags about how good that car is. So I know what kind of product they have out there, and there's no question, and definitely holding a pretty steering wheel right there is Lowry, Danny Lowry.
Yeah, I've seen that car, a factory spec of that car at Macau when they do the GT World Cup there. and it's magnificent to see through the narrow streets of Macau, I can assure you. We're back on board, though, with Chris Dyson as he goes through 10B. It's so far been an immaculate run by Dyson, and he's got that slight lead on Brabham of just over a second, which is nice and comfortable for teammates, but Said is under pressure, as you can see here. Or he was anyway, but now it's dropped off because at the restart, Dreesy and Ruman were right there with him, but he's reacted well in that last lap, and Boris Said pulling away now in third place, and now we'll go back in pursuit of the Dyson double.
Yeah, I see the battle is really forming there between Keith Grant and Matthew Bunson again. I see that being a battle that's going to redevelop here. But as we get deeper into the field here, and that's a really great story back to, you know, your Ricky Sanders. He's leading in SGT in that Porsche that they just had in the shot. Not this Porsche we have in shot now, but nonetheless, he is local, pitboxes.com, and you know, he is part of that Bridgehaul Bennett group as well. So definitely, you know, really bringing a lot of game here to the Trans Am Series in this TA, GT, XGT, SGT class as well. As we take a look at the number 6 car of Cary Grant in SGT, he is actually P2 to Ricky Sanders, who I was just speaking of.
Yep, good to see the Grants out there. 4 of them are racing this weekend, including Keith, who's just basically come along in the last couple of years in terms of Trans Am, but he's been racing all sorts of sports cars, single-seaters. In fact, he's going to be racing single-seaters as well this weekend as well, because we've also got FRP here as well, so he likes to do a little bit of that. He's a former champion in single-seaters, is Keith Grant. Already been on the podium here. And of course, Cary, Richard, and Milton. Milton out of this race with damage to his Porsche, but great to have all 4 of the Grants here this weekend.
For sure. You know, we're always proud. You know, we put 4 Andretti's in the Indianapolis 500 in 1991 and 92. So it's always cool when you can have, you know, stack the deck a little bit with your family members out there. Especially, you know, unfortunately, like we said, we've already lost Milton Grant to a water pump belt. So, you know, we're down to 3 Grants out there to carry that Grant torch.
Did Mario wipe the floor with the rest of them?
No, actually, it was, you know, those weren't actually our best years. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay. Well, you've had plenty of good years. Andretti karting, came past that on my way here. The Atlanta one, you got more coming, I'm sure? Yeah, there's actually, you know, 6 more locations planned by this time next year, and we'll have 18 by this time, hopefully in 2025. So we're hopefully coming to somewhere near you. And if you're in this area, please visit, you know, Marietta, Buford, Georgia locations. We took the teams there last night and had just a fantastic time as always. So really fun stuff. But thanks for the shout out there, Jonathan. And Boris isn't letting those 2 Dyson cars go way too fast. And as we look at Billy Griffin here in that Ford Mustang, oh, it's a shame, the 44 car that we have leaving the track right there and coming in the pits. That's Lee Saunders. Lee Saunders actually looks like he's retired. Yeah, it's been a miserable weekend for poor old Lee Saunders, the man from Florida, our former SGT champion 2 times over. Great guy, having to race the Mustang because his Dodge Viper not working this weekend. He absolutely loves racing those Dodge Vipers, but he's not had much luck this weekend, that's for sure. He overheated in NOLA last time out in round 2. And there's Brian Gluck in that resplendently painted SGT GT40, I guess. It's a kind of a combo car. It's actually a factory 5 car, but it strikes that it does have that striking resemblance to a GT40 or so GT. So tell me what a factory 5 car is then. That's again a purpose-built 2-frame chassis. It's something that comes as a bit of a kit, and they've been working on developing that car. You know, Brian Glock is actually a test pilot. He's been in the he's a veteran, a U.S. military veteran. Pilot in the U.S. military, so yeah, a real American hero here in Trans Am. He's got General Green down there as a guest as well, and so just some really special people that we get to come enjoy Trans Am racing, enjoy these Speed Tour weekends. This is the Mission Tour Atlanta Speed, the Mission Foods Atlanta Speed Tour is a really special place to be every year. You know, I was just looking at my lap records of Road Atlanta, and if you want to kind of put this in perspective as you watch Chris Dyson go through his job in the office here, Porsche Carrera Cup 121.2 is the lap record there, and Chris Dyson's just done a 120.5. So if you thought for 1 minute that these cars aren't absolutely on it, they are a handful and a half, over 850 brake horsepower, so they can't be as fast as a Carrera Cup car in the corners because of the size. but boy, can they go down the straight.
Yeah, they can. You know, you can point and shoot these cars pretty strong as we look at Keith Grant, the Showtime Motorsports. He's flying the Showtime Motorsports colors here today, you know, in the Trans Am and the TA class. So, but yeah, absolutely, you know, Jonathan. And we're looking at this. This is really fun to watch from the top two here at CD Racing. When you look at timing and scoring, folks, you see Chris Dyson just ran a 120.5 last lap, but the previous lap before that, Matthew Brabham smacked down a 120.3. So this is just this really cat and mouse game between these two teammates, and I know they're having a fun. We've only got 14 laps left of this race. Where has it gone, Jonathan?
I know, it's been a really strange race that we've had that one, you know, full course yellow, and it kind of slowed things down, but it's been a really eventful race already. Plenty of drama, plenty of action, and sure, more to come before the end of this race. Burton is the man we're watching at the moment. Matthew Burton, don't mess about with him. He's a AAA hockey man as well as a great racing driver, but just making his name. And I think we're going to be seeing plenty of him. Here he is in that Ford Mustang coming into shutdown into turn one.
Butson, not Burton. So
yeah, Butson,
you just said you didn't want him to pull out the hockey on you.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, you don't want to pull your jersey over your head and socking you, but no, he's a great guy.
I'm not messing with a hockey man.
No, sir. No, he's a great guy. Ave Motorsports, you know, taking care of him, and see Tony and Julie here, and they just came from Sebring right to here, the 12-hour and representing there, but always with this Trans Am paddock. And Matthew doing a great job finding his form. You know, this is a totally different sport to what he's usually doing, and he's doing such a great job keeping his nose clean. He's got to get 100 miles in here today, and those are so invaluable to get that in and to start looking at your video and to read your data and to talk to people like Tony Ave, who's not only a great car owner, a great car builder, he's also a great, I mean, what he's known at best is a race car driver, and so his driving coaching abilities are fantastic as well.
You say that. He's also currently a senior at Robert Morris University. This is Matthew Butson I'm talking about, majoring in both business management and marketing. So that's a smart move by a good kid.
If you want to be a race car driver, you better know your marketing, because this is a money-driven sport, and you need to be able to find the partners and to show them that you have the mindset to activate that partnership and to get them out there. And we have some great folks here. Like we see a lot of activation with Jim Weed down there in the paddock. We also see Ghost Energy with Michelle Abate, and you know, so there is great activation down here. You know, you see Bridgehaul Bennett signage everywhere, great business-to-business opportunities, three-dimensional services group, and there's a reason why Mission Foods has us, you know, as a part of these as well, as we love our taco chips.
I love it. I love that. That's the best start of your engines I've heard in ages, so she was brilliant. Loved it. 28 laps gone then of the 40 here. Trans Am coverage presented by Pirelli here at Road Atlanta. Really looking forward to more of the weekend ahead. We've got SVRA, we've got FRP. That's single-seater racing. If you're not up with that, Formula Productions in action, and they've got Atlantic, Formula Ford, you name it. Looking forward to that. They've already been in action earlier this morning if you missed it. But it's Dyson Brabham has said it's been that way since the start. Started off in second place. He got a good run on Brabham. Got into second place, but Brabham took him back after the restart. We're looking at the number 30 of Grant.
Yeah, this is the Dyson and Dyson show again here at Road Atlanta. So this is, you know, chalking up to be that. But at this time right now, it's about managing that right there, right? They have a 7-second lead. 7.9 overall, Chris does on Boris Said, their closest competitor. You know, Boris is back there. He's so smart. He knows that he doesn't need to push his car where he's sitting. He's like in a lapping day. He can go ahead and save his stuff so that if he gets another restart, or if there's a problem that arises for anybody, that he's ready to sit there and pounce. But you know, you see Amy Ruman here right behind in the trenches there, trying to get a sniff and attack here on Tommy Dreese in that beautiful Lucas Ford Mustang.
So we've been watching Richard Grant, the man from Germantown, Tennessee. As I mentioned before, 4 Grants out in action this weekend. But there's no stopping the Dyson dynasty. And he'll be looking forward to a nice warm-up for Lime Rock, his home race.
Boy, this downhill in a TA car is just spectacular. You've got so much speed, and the funny thing is, even me as a driver outside of the car, I can't take my eyes off of where Chris is going to even look down at the speedometer to know how fast he is going. So I'm going to rely on the fans at home. The next time we have that in-car shot and they're coming down turn 12 there, the downhill, it's like a it's like a ski jump that you go down here at Road Atlanta. So he's going to get down into Cary Grant here, and that is definitely what you need to get done, or else when you have this much discrepancy in the Bridgehaul Bennett S's, you can certainly hold up your lap time really bad. And he's got his teammate, and you know who happens to be also the point leader. Matthew Brabham is our point leader in the TA class. We can't forget that.
I know, I keep asking him if he's going to hang around and complete the championship, because Matthew's one of those drivers. He's a great, what we would call in the West, a hired gun. You can throw him in anything, and he's good. His ridiculous record of Trans Am is he's not finished off the podium in any race he's been in Trans Am. Not bad, eh?
No, folks, I mean, I was not joking. It was not a play on words when I said a legend in the making. Matthew Brabham is a legend in the making. And if he left the Trans Am paddock tomorrow and never drove another Trans Am race, just those stats alone that you just said, Jonathan, would put him in that status.
I mean, just, you know, if I give you a hard time about being an Andretti, imagine this. Your father, Jeff, won here in 88 and 89, and your uncle David claimed his overall 1999 Petit Le Mans win here at Road Atlanta, and you're running your first race here. I'm sure they're sitting at home going, come on, man, join the family.
Of course. I mean, that's always the case. You know, I say, I'm dead honest. You know, your biggest fans are your crew, but your second biggest fans, or the ones that are at war for your biggest fans, are your family and your loved ones that are sitting down there with you.
Talking of wins, Chris Dyson with 3, Amy Ruman with 3, and Billy Griffin, also the man we were just looking at, with 3 wins here at this favorite track. Back on board then with Chris Dyson. And like you say, I'm looking very closely at the RPMs, but also look at the G-force. You get to see that little circle that looks like a target, but actually that red dot is the G-force being in the direction of the G-force to the body there. And so it's always interesting.
Look how fast he went from 50 miles an hour to 150, folks. I mean, it's like a no-time flat.
And watch it dive from 182 miles an hour. See that red dot? That's the G-force acting on him under braking. Really interesting to see.
Yeah.
So Chris Dyson dominating this race at the moment as he dives in to start another lap.
So Chris Dyson going up the hill here in the Mission Foods turn 1, and that's another just one of those hold your breath moments every time you go in it. Looking at Michael Attaway, we saw him go down through pit road during the caution.
Yeah, I'm glad to see him out again.
Yeah, I think that was just maybe double checking things. He might have felt something, smelt something, whatever the case may be. But they get out there. A lot of times, you know, even when you slow down, a little bit of rubber gets put into the brake rotor or caliper, could start burning, and that could give you something, a strange smell in the car, or you know, any of those things. So he's back out, which is great. And we see the leader, Chris Dyson, breathing down his neck, and I'm sure is going to take advantage of all that horsepower once they come out of turn 7 and get down this back straightaway.
Yeah, there's a huge differentiation. You see it there as the way he goes, Dyson. But it's tricky also when you're leading in a big TA car, and you've done this so many years, Adam. You really, especially at a track like Road Atlanta, you've really got to pick your spot, and you're hoping that the marshals are doing their job, which they usually are, and that you are being seen, because you have got that power difference and speed difference, so you're hoping that he can see you coming.
Like I said, the driver's meeting was very sobering in that sense. Chris Dyson got up and delivered I think a sobering and a very wonderful positive message about how we can, and Tommy Dreese as well, and how everyone can work together and make it, and because this place is incredible. We talk about it, but the speed discrepancy is so big. The consequences are so massive, as we saw with our dear friend Ken Twait yesterday, and we don't want to see any of that, right? You know, our first job as racers is to put on a show, but you can't put on a show if we're not doing it safely, and we can't put on a show if cars are crashed sitting on the hauler and not in the racetrack.
Now we're watching Boris Said, still currently in 3rd position, going around and trying to do his job as best he can, but I don't think he can stop the Dysons today.
And Matt Brabham winning at C-Reed International, and Adam Andretti.
33 of the 40 gone here in our Trans Am Series, presented by Pirelli. You're listening to the Mission Foods Atlanta Speed Tour, and it's the Bennett Bridgehaul Classic here in the sunshine of Atlanta. It's a beautiful day here. amazingly, because it wasn't when we started. Big storm came in overnight and dropped a bunch of rain. How does that affect when you've got 3 days of practice with cars in dry conditions, and then suddenly does the rain wipe it all off, all the grip?
Yeah, we call it a green racetrack at that point. You know, it's like green grass. It's fresh. It washed off a lot of the rubber, you know, and then it draws some of the oils to the surface, so you have to get rid of those again. And not only that, if anyone starts to drop a wheel, they bring mud up into onto the surface, which we had a lot of that in our TA2 practice session. So, those are the kind of changes that are happening. It's been a very clean race out there for us. So the racetrack has stayed really good and clean. And I talked about Boris Said saying that he could just kind of relax in that ECC Motorsports Dodge Challenger, but he needs to kind of get some messages on the radio there, because Tommy Dreese has just turned his fastest lap of the race. It was almost a second faster than Boris Said that last lap, and is literally only 3 seconds behind. Yeah, so, oh wow, Matthew Brabham has actually, you're right, has dropped pace. He's on minute 42, so I wonder if Matthew Brabham is suffering some sort of mechanical issue out there.
Well, Brabham's dropped to 4th place now, Dreese up to 3rd, and that's a big storyline, because Dreese, like I said at the start, needs these points, needs to get back in this championship and start feeling like the real Tommy Dreese we know and love, and this is just what he needs. If he can get a podium out of this weekend, Tommy's going to be on a high heading to Lime Rock and have time to think about it and time to get ready and set up for that race.
Yeah, he's definitely broken. His last lap was a minute 42, and I know that as we spoke about very briefly, it's been a tough beginning of the year over at CD Racing and underneath the hood there, as you know, when Chris, you know, well documented at Sebring, a DNF there, and then Matthew at the end of NOLA was suffering some engine fatigue, and so I just really hope and pray that this isn't, you know, another one of those symptoms arising. So the good news is it's been, you know, a really, really fast and heavy start to our Trans Am series.
Brabham's in.
Yeah. I was afraid of that, and as you watched him just fall off of timing and scoring, and you know, Darren is standing over the car there, over the driver's side, and leading this effort, and I believe it looks like they're done. You know, I don't know what it is. It's really hard telling. It'd all be speculation from this point. You got Steve Dixie underneath the car right there, calling another shot. So I would really be curious to know what happened over here.
You know, amazingly, that's Brabham's first. I was talking about this yesterday to him, but we were talking about his record in Trans Am, and he said, yeah, amazingly, I've had no mechanicals in my entire Trans Am time of, the last 2 years. He started coming in for Dyson, won at COTA when he arrived, and then has been winning ever since, or at least being on the podium, and this is his first mechanical problem he's had.
Yeah, and to put that into perspective for the fans at home, a Trans Am car, a TA class car, is such a violent machine that the fact that they stay together for 100 miles, I find it always to be an amazing feat. When these teams are done racing 100 miles, it is literally a rebuild of the car. These things need new axles, the rear ends need to be gone through. You know, the only thing that really doesn't need to be fresh every race is the engine, but it doesn't go that long, much longer than one race.
How good is this battle between Amy Ruman and Keith Grant? We've been watching it for the last lap or so, but Amy, as she did at NOLA, doing a great job of just defending her position. This is the battle for 4th position right now, and as you can see, Keith trying every which way but through her at the moment.
This is a great battle between the two-time champ and the newbie here to the Trans Am Series and TA class in Keith Grant. But Amy Ruman, definitely, that McNichols Corvette is just always one of the most beautiful race cars again in the paddock. I love that, the whole group there, the Ruman Racing group. It's a family effort, you know. They've got, you know, mom and dad, Bob and Barb in there, and the support system she has at home and abroad is fantastic, and this battle is shaping up. As you can see, Keith under the brakes are really chomping at the bit, you know, I think he wanted to juke to the inside, but Amy said, no, I'm one of the late breakers, and I'd always charge into this turn 7. So Amy's got great straight line speed too here, because she's getting great drive too off of turn 7. And this is really getting her that great run into the Big Machine Vaca Spike Coolers, turn 10.
Got to be careful here, though. They've got traffic in front of them, and if Keith's going to pounce, It's going to be pretty soon, and I think what Amy's going to want to do as they come under the bridge is clear that car. She's done just that. Past our commentary position they come, nothing between them, and a lovely shot from the drone. Watching racing from high above is the way to go in modern day racing, in my mind, because it really shows you the difference between the cars and the difference between the speeds occasionally coming into the corners. And look at this, both of them under real pressure now. A little dab on the brakes there from Amy Ruman.
Well, there's 3 laps left, so our rear tires are done, and you just saw that fighting for grip up the hill there is what was just an incredible sight for us to see. The car control of these 2 Trans Am drivers going up the hill on hot tires, because this thing's coming to an end, and as we see, it looks pretty sorted out at the front. This is an 18-second lead that Chris Dyson has over Boris Said. And, you have about a 3.5-second gap between Boris Said and Tommy Dreesen. It's kind of stabilized there. But this is our battle. Amy Ruman and Keith Grant for this 4th position, as you said, Jonathan.
Yeah, it's a great little finish because Keith, try as he might, just is wise enough to know that Amy is not the kind to get out the way. She is a champion in her own right. Like I said earlier, she got her first win here at Road Atlanta back in 2011. That's how long she's been pedaling around this circuit and loves it. I was talking to her just before the start of the race about her memories of that, and she said it was a real great turning point for her and her family to get that win under her belt, and so she never forgets racing at Road Atlanta, and she will want to take this 4th place because the points are important as well for the TA Championship. Keith Grant very much in this championship, although he's a new coming name to TA in the last year, and so great to have him on board, but he's starting to give our regulars a run for their money.
He certainly is, and it was an honor to share the podium with him at Sebring, and for him to get that step up there. I know he was really, really over the moon about that.
That's right. He was second, he was third,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, absolutely. And Amy Ruman is not submissive to this pressure. I mean, she has had pressure before. Like I said, 2-time champ. She's won a lot of races in Trans Am, so she knows how to answer this pressure, as Chris has really have to be careful here. He needs to pick and choose. He's got a huge lead here. These are chances he's taking, like he did right there with this lap GT traffic. So this is showing that the GT cars throughout this 100 miles has shown these TA drivers the trust that what they spoke about in the drivers meeting has really set in. And because that's a move that Chris Dyson I don't think would have normally taken, having this strong of a lead that he has.
Well, just to give you an idea, Amy Ruman started this weekend 7th overall on 134 points. Keith Grant in 9th with 94 points. So both of them want this badly. But Chris Dyson, on the other hand, is about to get win number 4. He's on lap 39 of 40, and he just needs to tiptoe his way to the end now. He's managed those tyres brilliantly, and he looks on great form. He's still lapping very well indeed. He's knocked the times down to the 22s now, where he was at 120 at one point. His best lap of 120.48. But Dyson in his absolute element here, as we expect from our 2-time champion. Looking for his 4th victory here at Road Atlanta.
Well, actually, again, we're piping ourselves into these drivers, I swear, because just as I said, the risky move he made here at the top of the hill in turn 11, if you saw what he did at the end of the S's there and how he backed off of that GT3 car and waited. He backed off of Danny Lowry and he waited until he got to the straightaway and then just used that horsepower advantage. The white flag has dropped on Chris Dyson. We have 1 lap to go, 2.5 miles around this wonderful circuit left for Chris Dyson and that Jim Weed Ford Mustang.
And what a moment for Chris Dyson. He's 17 seconds up the road from Boris Said. Dreese's in 3rd. That's a great result for him if he can hold on to that. But just think for a minute. This will be his 21st win today in Trans Am. That moves him to 6th overall alone, where he was equal with Ron Fellows before this, but 21 victories in Trans Am and taking his first in 2018. So he's done it in a short period of time too.
And I haven't given Chris that kind of credit because we talked about legend in the making. That's legend in the making stuff. Whenever you start getting into the top 5 of all-time wins of a professional series like the Trans Am series, the likes of Tommy Kendall and Bob Tullius and just these amazing names, Wally Dallenbach Jr. And when you're up there and that your name is with him, you're a legend, and that's what Chris Dyson is working on. His dad Rob is a legend, and Chris is definitely planting his feet firmly in the ground to get that status himself. And these wins that he's racking off in this dominant fashion speaks so highly as well to what they've done with this Ave Riley chassis. Bring him home, Jonathan.
Well, here we go then. Jim Weed has the speed, no question about it, as once again Chris Dyson wins in Road Atlanta in absolute superb style. Not a problem at all for the team, or at least for his team. Unfortunately, his sister team of Matthew Brabham in trouble and having to pit. Boris said crosses the line in second place. Tommy Dreesy in third. And Amy Ruman, is she going to hold off Grant, we wonder? We'll look back to the start finish. We should see them, but it looks as though it's going to be Amy Ruman in fourth and Keith Grant in fifth. And in fact, they're coming into shot now, into my view anyway, and it is going to be Amy Ruman that holds on to take fourth place ahead of Keith Grant. And then Matthew Butson will be sixth overall. Great race, great finish, but well done to Chris Dyson and the Jim Weed Altwell Plaid team. His Plaid sponsors here this weekend. They're based in Atlanta, so they're all here as guests. So Chris Dyson will be well pleased that he's got a victory here, not only for those sponsors, but also just the next round being at his home of Lime Rock. Looking forward to that. And it feels as though Chris Dyson is back with the new Riley chassis, with it dialed in, no problems today. Surprisingly, it was Matthew Brabham who had the best, or had the worst lap in terms of finishing. He had to come in and didn't get to finish the race.
We got XGT coming to their finish here too, and Tyler Hoffman looks like he's going to bring it home here for the XGT class. He's the driver coach for Danny Lowry. This is for what we have here for the Bennett Bridgehaul Classic, this 100 miles. What a great day for them to bring both of those Bennett Bridgehaul cars home. 1-2, Nathan Bird in XGT. He's there in that Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car. And then we also have an SGT, Ricky Sanders, another one of those
back-to-back
Bennett.
wins. Yep.
Yeah, pitboxes.com. So he's in that 991 GT3 Cup car. He just nipped Cary Grant for that win. And then Billy Griffin, our good buddy Billy, he goes ahead and takes the GT win in the Ford Mustang away from Michael Attaway in GT. So great racing all the way through our four classes here today.
Yeah, no question about it. Really good stuff and an immaculate performance by Chris Dyson. I feel for Brabham, first ever mechanical he's had, but we'll hear from Chris in a moment. He'll get out of that car, but I'm sure he'll be pretty fresh-faced. There's Tony Garcia, and a happy birthday to him, our cameraman, who will be ready to capture all the action as soon as he gets out of the car. Tony, our regular in the pit lane, and doing a hell of a job.
A shout out to Boris said, you know, he brings that ECC and my old team. I love the Hendrickson family and all they do for our sport, and I'm going to go do some short track racing with them here in a few weeks, and just real happy for them to bring that thing home in P2, and you know, Steve and the whole group over there just doing, this is a great day for them, that Pancho Weaver car, and but again, this is the man right here, Chris Dyson, two-time champ, and I mean, he put on a clinic today.
Yeah, he really did, and that's amazing. His fourth win here at Road Atlanta, and in style. No question. There was never a question, really. Once he took the lead, there was a battle behind him for second between Brabham and Boris. Boris got the upper hand early on, but back came Brabham, and sadly, that mechanical taking him out of the race. But still, it's been such a great 1-2 for the first two races, and now another win. So three wins in a row for Dyson Racing. Different winners, but it doesn't matter because Dyson is good going forward, both in the teams and the drivers. Let's go down to Ben Sissel, who's got our winner.
Well, Chris Dyson, champ, nice job. That was unbelievable. How was your race out there from your perspective?
Well, I'll tell you what, Ben, there's no easy laps here around Road Atlanta. You got to keep your heads up the whole time. So even though I had a lead, I had to stay on top of the car the whole way. Thank God it was such a great weekend. You know, we got here and the car was fast pretty much right away. We were able to just keep building. This has been the best weekend we've had all season, and I'm looking forward to more of this. So proud of the guys. So proud of the guys at CD Racing. Jim Weed putting us right up here up front all weekend long. Couldn't be happier.
Congratulations. I know Greg Pickett is watching. Anything you want to say to him?
Yeah, hey, Greg. I just want to say hi to Greg. And I just also wanted to say hi to the family at home. Love everybody. So grateful.
Perfect. Thanks, Chris Dyson. Let's go to Boris Said, second place, Road Atlanta, talking to the boss, Tony Perella. Boris Said, that looked like it was pretty hard fought for you.
Yeah, I mean, I gave it everything I had. I didn't have anything for Chris today, but we'll be back next time in this ECC Dodge.
You're pretty good at Road Atlanta, though.
I love this track. I mean, thanks for Tony Perella for having us back. This is just, these cars and this track, you know, we got Osseo date on the car this time. It's pretty cool, so it's just a lot of fun.
Pancho Weaver, that's got to feel good for you.
It does. I tell you, it's been a long road, right? And this track is especially good to us. And of course, this guy right here just doesn't get any better, right? So 2 more Dodges, back next time. See you.
Love it. All right, well, Jonathan, I'm going to throw it back to you, buddy, up in the booth.
Thanks. Last comment from you. You mentioned a really good little bit of trivia there.
Yeah, I mean, these are 3 different chassis sitting on our podium at Trans Am,
Yeah.
so hats off to the technical staff for bringing that kind of parity. You have, you know, the Ave Riley chassis that took the win underneath the grips of Chris Dyson. Then in P2 you had, as we just saw Boris Said, and the Weaver chassis, and then P3 went to that new 3GT chassis.
To run.
We'll take a
Big
short
and
break
heavy
from Road
products to
Atlanta.
ship, and customers who need them now. When you've got the right driver and the right equipment, you can bet on a spectacular result. Bennett understands complex logistics and puts the best team, the most time, and the latest technology into every customer relationship. So you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the race. Let us handle the rest.
Together, we can move anything.
But here comes the battle for the checkered flag. I believe it is. Ryan Tim getting the win.
We're at a commercial break.
If your tooling isn't quite ready, and you need parts, and you need more parts than just a few, or if your run is just not that big, look to the experts in low-volume production, 3-dimensional services. Whether it's 10, 100, or 1,000 parts, we can meet your needs. And if it's 10,000, we can do that too. 3-dimensional services delivers high-quality parts for short runs, 70% faster than industry standards. 3-dimensional services. Prototype, production, proven.
Welcome back to the Mission Foods Atlanta Speed Tour. Great TA race a moment ago. And let's take a look at some of the action, first of all, from the GT and SGT classes. Well, we got off to a good clean start, but there was action all the way through. Tyler Hoffman, and it was the man who led the way in XGT. Local from Georgia, and doing the great job of getting a 1-2 for the Bennett Bridgehaul team. And just behind him was his teammate Danny Lowry. In SGT, Ricky Sanders doing another good job. That's back-to-back wins in SGT for Ricky. And so well done to him. And Nathan Bird, also a good run for him as he gets third in XGT. Michael Attaway winning in GT, but Billy Griffin finally getting through. But it was a win for that man, Tyler Dobbin. Let's head down to Ben Sissel for our podium celebrations.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the Mission Foods Atlanta Speed Tour, the Trans Am Series, presented by Pirelli. Look at this. Some Mission Foods racing style tortilla chips that we're going to be giving away. We've got some staff here from Mission Foods. Let's hear it. Vanessa is going to be our trophy person here. Vanessa from Mission Foods. If you're loud, she might throw out a bag of chips. All that and a bag of chips for you. We're going to start off in the GT class, having a great start to his season in that silver Audi, number 91. Let's hear it Michael Attaway. Atlanta, get louder than that. Come on. Act like we're in SEC country. Get loud. Keep coming. But these are easier, aren't they? In first place, our champ. Let's hear it. First in GT, Billy Griffin. Griffin Motorsports, that beautiful Mustang back there. And we had kind of a neat story in that, but Attaway, Attaboy, tell us about your race out there.
I'm just trying to stay out of the way and run a safe race. I had Billy in my sights. I never could get up there. He ran a great race. Done a great. It's great to be back home at Road Atlanta.
So this is your home track?
Yes, sir, it is. Yeah.
I love it. Billy Griffin, welcome back up on the top step. How was your race out there?
It was hot, fun. The car wouldn't shift. I had a really hard time. The car was pretty dangerous, actually. I'm glad we made it through. Just tried to stay out of the fast guy's way. Managed the car. When we got the caution, it cooled down a little bit for me. Started working a little bit again, but then it was just a bag of garbage for the rest of the race. So I just tried to stay out of everybody's way. But it was fun. Had a great time. I love this place. So
you're okay saying it's a bag of garbage to your team owner?
Yeah, I'm telling myself it's my car. That's right.
I just want to thank Bennett Trucking and Bridgehaul, Danny, the whole great team, Ricky Sanders, pitboxes.com, all our crew, from Rookie to all of them, Cody, Garrett, everybody.
I love it. Let's echo that. Bridgehaul, Bennett, thank you guys so much for your support. And how well is Bennett doing in the Xfinity Series? Unbelievable. So thank you guys so much for your support in the Trans Am Series, but also just motorsports in general. Hold those trophies up, guys. You're on the podium. Mission Foods Atlanta Speed Tour. And I don't know if you caught on, but Billy is the team owner. That's what I was saying about that. I don't know if they caught that. They thought you might have been, I might be vicious. Yeah, the pro team owner. Let's hear it one more time. Mike Attaway, Billy Griffin, GT class. Nice job.
Wait a minute.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. All right, be nice to Vanessa from Mission Foods. Oh, there was a gentleman's agreement up here, and then somebody shot first. That was a weird duel up here. In Super GT Pro-Am, and one of the most interesting cars of the day, let's hear it, number 47, Brian Gluck. Come on, Brian, in that Factory 5 car, beautiful car out there. And if I'm not mistaken, Brian brought him a 3-star general. Is that person out in the crowd right now? Where's the general? Let's hear it, ladies and gentlemen. A 3-star general. General Keene. Well, you're up on the top step.
I'm gonna put it me, was I?
Yeah, you're Pro-Am, right? Right, John? He's top step, right?
No, General Keene needs to be right here.
All right, right here. Yeah. It wasn't a co-drive because he's not wearing a racing suit. All right, so Brian, introduce your friend and tell us about your race out there.
All right, this is 3-star General Keene, United States Army Ranger. And today we get to say Rangers lead the way. Woo! It was a great race other than we lost the clutch on the 3rd lap, so I didn't have a clutch. It was 4th and 5th gear only. So it was a little difficult, but we sure enjoyed it. We'd like to thank you and all the Trans Am, all the Rangers that got to come out and visit with us today. My crew, really appreciate it, and thank you, Factory 5, for all the support.
Nice. Now, General, what was your impression of the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli?
Well, Brian just proved that Ranger Sergeants truly lead the way.
Nice. I love it. Did you hear that? Ranger Sergeants truly lead the way. Let's hear it. Brian Gluck, we call him G-Luck, out there, beautiful car. Wait, Vanessa's got another hat for you. Hold on now. How about one more time for the General and Brian Gluck? Ladies and gentlemen, that's a first for us with the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli. General, thank you so much for all that you do for the country, your service. Brian, nice job. Way to lead the way, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, Brian. I just need that one back. We'll get one shipped to you, okay? Thank you, sir. Thank you.
In Super GT, crazy story here. In third place, in the number 44, that's new for me, Lee Saunders, ladies and gentlemen. In second place, representing the Grant family from Memphis, Tennessee, let's hear it, Cary Grant. First place, Super GT, 2 times on the podium this year. Let's hear it, Ricky Sanders. Awesome. All right, so Lee, just last year in an interview, this guy said it's Mopar or no car. He's been driving a Viper with us for years, but today he was in a Ford.
Yeah, evidently I lied, I guess. First of all, I'd like to thank God for this beautiful day and for letting us come out here, keeping everybody safe. But I also have to thank John Strauss for obviously loaning me the Ford, the Mustang. Billy Griffin, Griffin Motorsports, he's the one that made it happen. His team helped me, pulled me out of a big pinch. So we, hurt the motor and qualified a different car, and then went to the third backup and were able to finish the race. So a lot of help to get us where we are today. Got to thank my team, KSR. We got Dylan, we got Eddie here, and thanks again for everybody.
And hopefully you were gentle on the equipment, because John Strauss is out there right now, SVRA Group 10. So we'll see. Cary Grant up on the podium, and somebody's missing up here. Nice job, man. Tell us about your race.
First of all, I'd like to give God the glory that he deserves and for all he does for us. Yeah, my dad had trouble. He shredded a belt. Well, there's a lot of gravel thrown up on 10A and 10B, and I think we got in the belt. I was tucked behind him trying to keep up with him pretty good. Ricky was running away. He had a little more pace on us today, but it was awesome. Thanks to Trans Am. Thanks to Pirelli for the great tire that they put out here, and Porsche. And that is 20 finishes in a row.
Woo! Nice. That says a lot for the driver and the car. And then Ricky Sanders, you know, you bring Matt Googe back to the series, and now you're up here on the podium a lot, pit boxes. How was your race out there?
Yeah, we had a good race. Yeah, it's great racing with these guys. They always have good competition here. And I got to thank Danny Lowry for loaning me the car so I could run. And, of course, his company with Bridgehaul and Bennett. So the support there, we couldn't do it without it. So.
Nice. I love it. I got to give it up to Danny Lowry, Bridgehaul, and Bennett. It seems like they're kind of stacking the deck. They've sponsored about half the cars in the field. Hold them up, gentlemen. Let's hear it. Lee Saunders, Cary Grant, Ricky Sanders. That was quite a fun. I like this crowd. You guys are loud. I'm loving this. Keep it up, Atlanta. Show these people what the SEC can do. Actually, we have in TA2 race, we have a former Auburn player tomorrow. Played for Auburn. Yeah, I heard a boo right there. Go Vols. I'm with him. Anybody Bulldogs out there? There we go. All right. One more time. Lee Saunders, Cary Grant, Ricky Sanders. That was so much fun. Super GT. Now, Vanessa with Mission Foods to present the champagne. Let's hear from Mission Foods. Come on, Mission Foods, bringing us some. I think about Mission Foods every Tuesday for Taco Tuesday. Cary Grant right into the air. Look at that, gentlemen. I love it. Somebody disapproved of that. I like that kind of champagne celebration. One more time, Super GT, ladies and gentlemen. Mission Foods Atlanta Speed Tour. And now Extreme GT. You need to get louder here, Atlanta. In third place, the number 88. Let's hear it. Nathan Bird, ladies and gentlemen. He's racing in everything this weekend. We talked about this man quite a bit, these next two drivers. A big part of Bennett and Bridgehaul and their support this weekend. Let's hear it. Danny Lowry, second place. Another podium finish with him in that beautiful Mercedes AMG. And then in first place, Danny's driver coach. I guess you don't know how to do team orders. Let's hear it. Tyler Hoffman, ladies and gentlemen. First place. Tyler had a great showing with us at Sebring as well. But man, Nathan Bird, I know you're running for an XGT championship, IGT championship, whatever open wheel car you can get yourself into, but how was it out there?
It was really good. Unfortunately missed the false grid by like 30 seconds, so we're relegated to the back of the field. But like last time, I did my best to work through traffic, and I was able to get up to P3 fairly comfortably, and I thought there was a glimmer of a hope that I could potentially get Danny after the restart happened. I was like 2-3 cars away from him, but then I just realized the pace difference was too strong, and hold on.
A slight pause for beautiful music.
Yeah, so the pace difference was too strong, so I just consigned myself to third place and just managed my tires and tried to get as much practice in laps as possible. As always, all praise and glory goes to God, our creator. And I can't thank Arrive Drive Motorsports, Bobby, my crew chief, the TLM for giving me the technical support. And it's a pretty good day. Going to keep on going. Got 3 more races left today, I believe. So, yeah, we're going.
Nathan Bird, ladies and gentlemen. And Danny, I haven't been able to talk to you yet, but first of all, you guys are killing it in Xfinity, man. Unbelievable. How cool is that? So Bennett Bridgehaul had to give you a little special feeling going up and through the S's there, having so many family and friends here and then being up on the podium.
Right, it was a great day. Obviously, Road Atlanta's the home track. I don't know, I think we had 80, 90 people here from Bennett and Bridgehaul, so I got to give a shout out to my Bennett and Bridgehaul family.
Well, where are you, Bennett Bridgehaul? Come on now. There we go.
And this is actually the first time my mother and father have watched me race, so I want to say hi to them over here. My wife is here, a couple daughters, big family thing. It's just been a great time here. And, of course, Trans Am put on a great show like always. I really want to thank Tony Perella for all he does. Recently, I got kind of a peek behind the curtain to see what it takes to do all this, and I was very impressed with the hard work that everyone at Trans Am does.
We'll pause. Now, surely that Miata is the last in this group of muscle cars, so go ahead.
So really, Trans Am's such a class operation. I see John Clackett over here. Thank you, John, for all y'all do to give us a place to come race and have fun. You know, I'm a hobbyist. I'm out here having a good time, watching these young guys like Nathan come up. Nathan, I guess good for me. He's had to start in the back of the pack, and I kept watching him coming up behind me, and he caught me there by the end, but fortunately the race was over before he could get around me, and I was able to hold on to second. Tyler here is my coach. He's obviously, I knew I couldn't outdrive him. I was just hoping I'd get a little racing luck and get around him, and we got up there, but we didn't get around him, but we had a lot of fun trying.
Nice, I love it. Danny Lowry, and now Tyler Hoffman. That has to be just so much fun. Those Mercedes look planted.
The Mercedes are hooked up. I mean, the Ricky Sanders guys got the cars dialed in. The Bennett Bridgehaul Mercedes is just top notch. To run a GT3 car with this series is just a total privilege and a ton of fun out there. I mean, good racing all the way through.
Nice, I love it. All right, let's hear it, ladies and gentlemen. Nathan Bird, Danny Lowry, Tyler Hoffman out here, Extreme GT. That was a lot of fun. Speaking of getting a peek behind the curtain, hey, Bridgehaul Bennett, raise your hand. Thank you guys so much for coming out. That is so cool. We've been friends with Danny for a long time, so it's great to meet his whole family. One more time, Nathan Bird, Danny Lowry, Tyler Hoffman. So cool. And Marcia, nice job, the Xfinity Series too. Good job, you guys. Proud of you. That's awesome. All right, Michelle's going to come out here and give the hats. All right, Atlanta. You've got Atlanta's own up here. Huge supporter of motorsports. Let's hear it. Nathan Bird, Danny Lowry, Tyler Hoffman, Extreme GT, as Vanessa will bring up the champagne. Now, Nathan's got like 6 more races today. I don't know if we want to shower him in champagne. Yeah, he's like, see you guys. Yeah. You know, you guys can drink it. Oh, they're going for it. Look out. All right, Tyler Hoffman, Danny Lowry, Nathan Bird. Awesome, guys. Love those Mercedes. TA, 900 horsepower, fire-breathing monsters, no driver aids. In third place, back on the podium at Road Atlanta, let's hear it, Tommy Dreesy. Lucas Oil, MAV TV, 3GT car, beautiful car, and watch out, he keeps getting faster and faster. Are we gonna get a Dreesy selfie? No, later when everybody's up here. You're gonna want one with this guy. You're gonna want one with the next guy, an absolute legend. Trans Am legend, NASCAR legend. Where are my set heads? Let's hear it, Boris Said. And then the champ got his first race win in Trans Am right here at Road Atlanta. A ton of Dyson history here at Road Atlanta. Let's hear it, Chris Dyson, first place. That Jim Weed Ford Mustang. Well, this is a Dreesy tradition. So Tommy, I'm gonna let it go ahead, get that out of the way. Let's do a selfie. Tommy, grab your phone. This is something that we do. Tommy Dreesy takes a selfie. You got to follow him on social media. We'll post it on the Trans Am site. Tommy Dreesy up there with some legends. Let's hear it. It's excited to see Dyson back up here. Dreesy, back on the podium, man. That's got to feel good. Oh, are you filming the crowd? You got a job to do up here, man.
Hey. Hey, listen, I just want to thank all the boys and girls at 3GT. We're getting better, It's a brand new car. That was a pretty tough race today, but the guys kept me cool. I only said the F word twice, and that was a 13 F word race. So I'm getting better for the TV and everybody. Sorry if anybody heard that tuning in. I gotta thank Lucas, gotta thank MAV TV, Lacey, Jagger, Elin, I love you, I'm coming home. Congratulations to Dyson. Good job, Boris. And thank you, Trans Am, Porella. Thank you.
You never know when Boris says gonna pick a fight on the podium. Where'd those chips go? Give me some of these chips. They are good. They're shaped like your car.
Yep. I mean, I love coming here and racing. I love Trans Am. Unfortunately, I didn't have anything for these guys today. But Steve, everyone in DCC, Osseo Data, this Dodge was really good. We just need a few more adjustments. I might have had you, but we'll be back next time. Thank you.
Mention your son racing tomorrow.
You know, it's funny. I've never been nervous racing in 37 years. But now my son's racing in TA2 for Peterson Racing, and I'm a friggin' nervous wreck. So I'm glad I raced today. So now I can just be nervous and hold my hands in my teeth every day.
He said his son, wait, Tommy, where are you going, man? We need some Adderall up here. All right, Chris Dyson, take the mics.
Well, it's always nice to stand up here on top of the podium. I love the fans down here at Road Atlanta. What a magical weekend for the team. Both Jim Weed cars up front the whole weekend. The guys gave me an absolute rocket here. Every single lap was a pleasure. It's not too often you don't want a race to end, but today was one of those days. Great racing, obviously, with Matty. I'm sorry he had a little trouble with the 20 car, but you know, I'm surrounded here by all-time legends here, and that's what keeps us coming back here, keeps us pushing to stay on top. I'm so proud of the guys. I'm so proud of the guys, the effort that they're putting in every single weekend. I thank God for this opportunity, and I hope everybody enjoyed this race weekend as much as I did. So thank you very much.
Yeah, buddy.
Hey, and John, Boris pulled me aside and said, hey, I also won the Masters. So Boris is also the Masters winner, too. But hold on now. Oh, he's going to just steal the top step. There you go. You never know what you're going to get here. Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli. Hold on. Well, don't break stuff. Come on now. Here you go, Chris. I'm sorry about that. What do you need, Chris? Oh, he needs a hat. Does anybody got a hat for Boris? He gave it away. Oh, no. We just need a, here we go. Here comes Mike. Mike Dallenbach to the rescue. That way we're not having to digitally animate a hat. That's yours again. He said you can have that. All right, let's hear it. Tommy Dreese, Boris said, Chris Dyson. That is cool to say. We got 3 Trans Am legends up here. 3 different car builders. And they're still fighting up here. I love it. Look at that. Boris got an arm. Let's see what Dyson. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, Tom Sheehan. Butterfingers. All right, come on, Atlanta, one more time. Tommy Dreese, Boris said, Chris Dyson. The Mission Foods Atlanta Speed Tour. Those Mission chips, man, they hit the spot. We need to do that more. Could do that instead of champagne. All right. As Vanessa passes out the champagne. This is not going to be friendly. Watch out, ladies and gentlemen. Look out, Mike. Look out, Vanessa. Uh-oh. One for the homies, and right into the eyes of Chris Dyson. Boris says, take that. All right, and one for the homies right there. All right, I love these TA celebrations on the podium. Very fun. Don't go too far, though, guys, because the cool shirt, cool move of the race, I need you guys off here, goes to Billy Griffin. Leaning on his other car to get Lee Saunders. And from, let's hear it, Columbus, Georgia, Matt Googe to bring up the Happy Gilmore Trophy. All right. Yeah, you were getting hot out there. That shirt's going to come in handy. Let's hear it. Cool shirt for providing $500 worth of product. And Billy Griffin gets out of these cars hot. So this is going to come in handy. Let's hear it. Cool shirt. Cool move of the race to Billy Griffin. You're doing it? All right, so now our AMCO Top Gear Award goes to Christopher Dyson. Let's hear it, Chris Dyson, the Jimweed car. Come on up here, Chris Dyson. Hey, Atlanta, get a little bit louder than that. Chris Dyson, AMCO Top Gear Award, bringing his Jimweed up here. And Tom is going to be presenting you this check, $500 worth of gear at the AMCO Top Gear Awards. New gearbox. Chris Dyson with the Jimweed Ford Mustang, our champ. You guys, thank you so much. Yeah, he wants to move the decimal point. Let's hear it one more time. The Mission Foods Atlanta Speed Tour Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli. We'll be back tomorrow with TA2. I got to hurry up to the booth to announce this F1600 race, but stick around. We'll be back tomorrow. We absolutely love Road Atlanta. Nice job, Dyson.
Great scenes down on the podium and high from the drone. What a perfect way to look down and see all the action from there, those parked cars. But let's take a look now at some of the action that we just saw from Trans Am. Well, the start was interesting because watch the grey and black of Boris said, because he gets into the lead or gets into second place ahead of Brabham, I should say. But it was Dyson out front. Tommy Dreese making his way through and then getting all the way through to a podium, a really important one for Tommy. It's not been a good start to the season. Chris Dyson had problems, but no problems for this man. Brabham obviously pulling out with a problem, but Keith Grant was on it and raced hard with Amy Ruman, but she held him off for fourth. And that's where you see Chris Dyson doing the business, his fourth win here at Road Atlanta. Well done, Dyson wins. And just a quick check on the results then. Chris Dyson with the win with the Jimweed Ford Mustang. Boris said second. Tommy Dreese in third. Amy Ruman holding on to take fourth place ahead of Keith Grant in fifth. Butson in sixth place. Then Hoffman seventh. Danny Lowry eighth. And they are the first of the XGTs. Hoffman winning. Lowry second and Bird in third. David Pantaric getting back out there up and come in and adjust after hitting a wall. Richard Grant, Sanders winning again in SGT. Cary Grant second, his 20th in a row, he says, in terms of podiums and completions. Billy Griffin in GT wins ahead of Michael Attaway. And sadly, Brabham out, Saunders getting through and making it in SGT in a different car. Great story that. Brian Gluck in 18th, Chris Evans 19th, and Austin Hill rounding out the top 20. Further down, Milton Grant didn't finish. He came in early. Likewise, Wally Dollenbach and Ken Thwaites did not start for the Franklin Road Apparel team. And a quick shout out to Matt Crandall, who was ill over the weekend in XGT. Get well soon, Matt. Now let's talk about our cool move, our cool shirt systems cool move of the race. And we're going to go for something different this weekend because we're going to thank Billy Griffin for his kind gesture of helping his opponent and good friend Lee Saunders get out on track and helping him get a Ford Mustang out there when his Dodge Viper could not get out on the track. So well done to Billy Griffin. A nice gesture. Motor racing fraternity in Trans Am is alive and kicking. So we'll take a short break here from the Mission Foods Atlanta Speed Tour. Stay with us, more to come as the action continues in our Speed Tour. We'll be right back.